Hey guys, here today to discuss director Abbas Kiarostami, one of the greatest, most groundbreaking directors I've ever seen. I've explored through a majority of his filmography for the first time over the course of the past few years, and I've been just relatively amazed by this man and just the overall impact that his work leaves. It's very uniquely spiritual. It's the best way I would describe it. Like his films have a very spiritual mark to them that transcends just what a lot of films go for. They do it in the most entertaining fashion imaginable. But I always end up walking out of his films just really feeling something special, as if I had just gotten back from like a really nice hike out in the Smoky Mountains or something. It's beautiful. He makes beautiful films. So we'll start with his debut groundbreaking film, 1987, Where's My Friend's House? And I would say the beauty of Kiarostami films lies in its simplicity. Like they're very quiet and subtle, and just full of gorgeosity in every frame. A lot of attention to detail. Every moment of it just really feels lived in and understood. There's really natural grace and flow. This film was just very entertaining from start to finish. Like I think the entire way through, I feel very invested in the characters and just all these unpredictable scenes as they come along. Like a lot of it, you never really know exactly where it's going to take you, but it all kind of just comes back to the primary story itself. It's really basic. Like it's about as basic as the film Bicycle Thieves. And every bit as fantastic, I would say. I'd say they're equal quality. There's just so many incredible themes this film deals with. Like there's like duty, and especially like when you're like a kid growing up, you always have those situations where the first times you're challenged by choosing right from wrong in a true way that can truly impact your life. Those are things to always think about. This is a film that just naturally takes you back to that. Look at being able to stand for like what greater glory in the face of indifference. There's a lot of these things that common for you to go and to experience in your youth as you're going to your adult years. It's kind of nice to have just understand these kind of layers and whatnot. Um, there's a little bit of like a mundane quality to it, but that just kind of makes it even more powerful in a sense. I think that it finds something very beautiful in the just the ordinary in a lot of ways. There's a lot of great films I think do in modern times. I think a lot of the best masterpieces are out to kind of find grounded beauty, mystic beauty in a lot of ways. This is just a really simple story. Again, I just love it. It's literally just a kid delivering a notebook to a classmate. That's it. That's the entire film. But it's just so minimal and simple that it's just fascinating how it can manage to be this entertaining and wonderful. I mean, there's that one shot where he's like running up that hill. Jeez. Oh my gosh, that's one of the best things I've ever seen, honestly, as far as just the extended take go. Cinematography is just really something else here. All kinds of visual layers going on. Like I said, the entire film just really gets into the main character's state of mind all throughout. The acting is just so natural. I mean, the kids are some of the greatest ever in this movie. One of the best films you'll ever see. And this director, he would only get better in the '90s. Like this is just kind of like the start of his groundbreaking work. So like I said, 1990, Close Up. I know this is like everyone's favorite by him. This does not land for me as strongly as his others that I've seen, but this is still a great film nevertheless, worth checking out based alone on its sheer originality. I think there's some times where I'm just like it felt like it was just waiting for momentum to build up that just took a long time to land, but it's very, very strong and effective once it's there. So it's absolutely a great film for that. But it's a timeless film, in a lot of ways. I think it has a message for all ages, really, and it kind of pertains like the art of filmmaking itself, and just kind of like what can really be done with it. Where can we take film? Where can all this go? To glorify something of a greater good and impact lives. I think that there is something of like an enlightenment search going on in Kiarostami's search as a director, and this is kind of him looking directly at the subject of film itself and what can be done. Then we move on to 1992. He named my favorite film Life and Nothing More. Perhaps he was questioning this in Close Up. I think he found his answer throughout the rest of the films to come. I'm going to mention here. This film is just very powerful. It explores a lot of depths. It's very, very deep. It's like, how can one find a bit of happiness amidst an ultimate tragedy? I think that's the ultimate question this film ponders. And in this case, this is involving an earthquake, which destroys lives of all kinds, destroys homes, destroys all kinds of things, and everyone's kind of forced to just figure out how do we move on here. And I would say this film is just very successful in just portraying how people can overcome very difficult situations. It's like there's always an inevitable shock value that comes out of facing tragedy, but and I think that generally, and especially like when you're in the community, there almost has to be a certain sense of nihilism to danger and badness in order to kind of find ultimate happiness together. It's like you find universal happiness in a sense, and just you adjust to it. I think that what Kiarostami did here that's so genius is that he just has all his like personality to it. Like it feels so real the way he just kind of, and he's one of the main actors. Like he's literally just kind of exploring through everything here. Based on a true story, felt like real heroic filming overall, just to portray something that actually happened. And look at all the lives that it affected. It makes it look like the most cinematically cool thing imaginable. Like it looks like a Sergio Leone film. Like it's awesome the way it's like it's such a good deed. Basically, this film is, and it's masterful. I think Kiarostami really just wanted to kind of just find what he was really trying to say in the first place, like close up and where is my friend's house. Like he's just really, as far as like what he wants to bring out of his actors, I think he was always having a certain question in himself about subtlety in his characters and them going through some kind of gentle grace. They're searching, or they have a certain grace, and they're just kind of challenged by their grace in a very unique kind of way. This is just one of the most gorgeous films ever made. It has a timeless impact behind it, and it's my favorite film he's made. I mean, there's some he's made that are very, very close because all of his films to come are absolute genius masterpieces. So this is just the one right here. 1994, he made Through the Olive Trees, and this is just, it's unreal how masterful this one is from start to finish. Like, it's a very similar formula that, was kind of done in Life and Nothing More, but now it's kind of a full-on film. I think he kind of went for the entire fictional realm this time instead of part documentary of reality occurring here. I think he really wanted it to succeed at leaving the same kind of just life-changing sort of impact, but in a little bit more of a contained, subtle kind of way. I think that he was more raw and in the moment, kind of intimate with the first one, but this is just kind of more like a rehearsed script. Like it feels more like a, like a Tarkovsky, like, contained and method of poetic, thought out, in every frame. And it's also like a really interesting narrative. Like I think it's one of the most complicated, like kind of story things he's made, although it still leaves ultimate simplicity at its heart. The lighting is just so natural and beautiful. It's absolutely perfect. I think this is an endlessly impactful film. I highly, highly recommend it. It's absolutely marvelous. In 1997, he made Taste of Cherry. Now, this is a little different from the others. Now, this one, man, this is, I would say, the harshest film of his I've seen. Very slow, meditative, just a very quiet, touching film. And I know like most of this movie is just kind of all about just this character driving around, just look, it's like you're just kind of embracing all these mesmerizing landscapes. But you can tell he's like in an existentially, very wildly depressed state of mind. He talks to people, and he's just always kind of in a gaze within his depression. It's kind of like a just groundbreaking piece of minimalist filmmaking in many ways. Like there's not very much even happening in this movie. It feels like you're just kind of wandering around, but in the end, it's just everything's happening here. This is literally like a wandering man finding a glimpse of hope within himself, whenever he doesn't really have any. There's just a lot of dark themes going on here, and I think that Kiarostami explores these in such a fascinating way. I think that he's able to just touch a light hand to dark themes and subject matter. I think the film's very fascinating, and the dialogue just has all kinds of great themes behind it and layers. There's just a lot of energy, contagious. It's just something very contagious and lonely about the whole filming experience. I love the world building, and it just communicates a lot of uncertainty in general. There's like a lot of confusion in the air. You never really know exactly what's going on exactly. There's so many shots I'll just never forget. Like just him just driving around the mountains in general. Just like lying down, stargazing, like they're just mesmerizing, and they just hits hard in such an interesting, unique way. So he's a perfect director, a perfect film. This is absolutely masterful. And the last one I'll mention is When Will Carry Us, 1999. This is just like a dream unfolding in reality. Most gorgeous films I've ever seen. This has a lot more of a subtle grace and hope, I think, and maybe perhaps the most of any of his films. I can't wait to watch this again because I was just so blown away from start to finish. It's just one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen all around. Like I've never really felt more power from just extended takes and just I like the motorcycle just riding around. Like, I mean, it's just perfect within its simplicity. And I've just maybe perhaps never seen more of a beauty with a poetic expression. Like I said, this came out in like 1999. This is when a lot of films were kind of at an existential crisis. I think that Kiarostami was already at an existential crisis all throughout the 90s, and it's like he found his sort of answer through this film. It feels like a prayer being answered whenever you watch it from start to finish, with just all the texture and just the gaze of the mountains of the characters. Just, like, I would say it's the least conflicting of any of his films. Like maybe perhaps Where's My Friend's House is the only other one, but there's not a lot of conflict going on in this film. But however, it's just powerful in its simplicity. Like it feels like a message of his just makes it every bit as genius as all of his other best films because it's just so stunning and it's how it's poetically portrayed and organically told through the characters and their philosophical discussions and spiritual challenges they face along the way. That's Kiarostami, man. He's one of the all-time best directors. I can't wait to see it. I know he made some more films after the 2000s, 2010s. I've yet to see, but he's a genius director. I really am amazed by these films. I can't wait to rewatch all these and see more about him.